Hello, everyone. Something is weird going on with my live streams because now when I do live streams, it might just be a YouTube glitch, but now when I start my live streams, it starts off as black. I have to then do a screen flip and then flip it back twice. So I have to flip that back to screen twice and then it gets the clear image. But first, when it starts off, like my live streams is totally black. Then I have to do like a double flip in order to get the image to show. So I don't know what's going on. It's probably just a YouTube glitch. I'm not too concerned. Because clearly, if it was the CIA who was like trying to take down my live streams, they would have just taken down my whole YouTube channel. Obviously, the CIA, when they want something down. Unfortunately, I really don't think the CIA is watching my channel yet. Because there has been so many people been reporting on this whole Emmanuel Macron thing and Bridget Macron thing. So, I mean, it would actually be flattering for someone's YouTube channel to be taken down by the CIA. I don't think Candace Owens, her channel will be taken down by the CIA because I think Candace Owens is the CIA. The CIA is like known for deceiving people. And so, what, of course, if a CIA agent was going to deceive you, what would they say? They would pretend like they're not a CIA agent. And that's exactly what Candace Owens is doing. She's pretending like she's not a CIA agent, even though she's talking shit about the CIA and she has a channel of millions. I'm sure if the CIA didn't want Candace Owens blowing the whistle on them, then the CIA would take Candace Owens' channel down. But anyways, I started this to actually talk about Karla Homolka and what happened. So I actually remember the Karla Homolka case. I remember it when she was coming out of prison. So when she was actually convicted and sent to prison, like I was still growing up. I was very young when that happened. So, but I do remember when I was a teenager, uh, early adult. I think I was maybe almost 20. Actually, I think it was about 19 when Karla Homolka was actually released from prison after serving a 12-year sentence. So very odd, although maybe it's perfectly fitting, and I'll explain why. But I almost said Kamala Harris. Karla Homolka, while the names are similar, Karla Homolka, while she was in prison, and I remember this interview that she gave when she came out of prison. It was the very first interview when she came out of prison. Karla Homolka said that she learned French. She took a degree in French in prison, which I guess the prison in federal prison, they pay for you. Canada pays for their degrees in federal prison. So Karla Homolka decided to get a French degree in federal prison, and she was there for about I think 12 years approximately. So I don't know everything about the case, but I do know there are some very creepy, strange facts that I want to tell you about. Just hold on one sec. I'll be right back. Um, I gotta go. Hold on. I'll just be right back. I'm gonna get into the details. One sec. Okay, so let's get into the details. So Karla Homolka gave an interview in which she said she learned French. This is actually searchable, I'm sure. You could just search it on YouTube. I remember watching the interview years ago, but it's probably interviews on YouTube. She decided to learn French and she got a French degree. And then Karla Homolka also, because she's a lying sociopath, according to several of the inmates that worked with her, that were with her in prison, apparently Karla Homolka made this whole victim story claiming that she was victimized in prison. They treated her badly. Well, Jesus, you're a convicted serial killer and a sociopath. And a lot of people say that Karla Homolka was even worse than Paul Bernardo. So, honey, I don't think it's you. From all the women that can play the victim card, and there's a lot of women that play the victim card, from all the sociopaths that play the victim card, honey, I don't think you can play the victim card when you are a convicted serial killer and you were the mastermind. A lot of people say that Karla Homolka, Canadian serial killer, was the mastermind behind the murders involving Paul Bernardo and what they did to her own sister, Tammy Homolka, Karla Homolka's own sister. Like, that is disgusting. And so all of these people who try to say, oh, women are innocent, blah, blah, blah. No, there's a lot of really sick women out there, especially look at Karla Homolka, and she had murdered her own sister and other women as well, of course, who weren't related to her. But it's tragic. All of the murders are very tragic and sad. So Karla Homolka was definitely a predator, and a lot of people now actually believe that Karla Homolka, not only did she put Paul Bernardo up to the murders, but Karla Homolka was the sick mastermind behind everything. So Karla Homolka, while she was in prison, decided to learn French and get a French degree. And also, when she came out of prison, Karla Homolka felt as if Quebec would welcome her, as if the French people, the French Canadians, would actually welcome her, a convicted serial killer who preyed on innocent young girls, who murdered her own sister. Karla Homolka had the impression that Quebec, French Canadians, Quebec, would welcome Karla Homolka into the French Canadian community. And Karla Homolka also, I guess, is probably why she learned French. Karla Homolka suddenly, I guess, in prison, believed that Quebec would be like, and learning French and French Canadians would be like her new community of people that would welcome her. A convicted serial killer, a mastermind, who murdered not only her own sister, Tammy Homolka, but was put Paul Bernardo up to the murders of the other women as well. So that's pretty sick that Karla Homolka thinks French Canadians would be welcoming to her. Why? Why would Karla Homolka feel comfortable and think that the French Canadians were going to welcome her and she was going to move to Quebec? Another sick thing that we learned about Karla Homolka while she was in prison, not only did she pretend to be a victim all of a sudden and say that the other prisoners were nasty to her. Well, one of the prisoners, I remember seeing this on the news, one of the prisoners came forward and said actually they were very nice to Karla Homolka. And they were also extremely afraid of Karla Homolka. And that's why they were especially nice to her. Because Karla Homolka, they could see she was a sociopath, psychopath, Karla Homolka. This woman who suddenly is pretending to be the victim as if she was victimized all these years in federal prison. But actually, the prisoners have a different story. Her fellow inmates say that they treated her very nicely because they were scared of Karla Homolka. Like, definitely scared of Karla Homolka because they think Karla Homolka was a psychopath, sociopath. So Karla Homolka gets out of prison. She wants to learn French, or she did learn French in prison, and she got a French degree in prison, paid for, I guess, by the taxpayers, Canadian taxpayers. She got in the federal prison, she got a French degree. And then Karla Homolka thinks that suddenly Quebec and French Canada, French Canadians are going to welcome her. And another sick thing that was discovered, and this was now, I'm not talking now referencing the interview when she first came out of prison, which, by the way, she also happened to say that the first thing she was going to do after she got out of prison was go get an ice cap from Tim Hortons. So ice caps actually around that time were kind of more of a newer thing. I think maybe they had been out already maybe for a few years, but they were still kind of pretty new. And of course, They came out after Karla Homolka was sent to prison, so that's why she was going to try an ice cap for the first time from Tim Hortons. And Karla Homolka made a point of saying it was as like if it's weird, this like as if Tim Hortons had a weird little plug in there. Of course, obviously, it was just Karla Homolka saying she wanted to try an ice cap. But I do remember then suddenly seeing the ice cap commercials. It was so weird. It's like convicted serial killer says the first thing she wants to do after she gets out of Canadian prison is try an ice cap from Tim Hortons. And then after the CBC News, whatever, I can't remember if it was CBC News I watched the news article on. The video. It was on TV. I watched it on TV, Canadian television. Can't remember if it was when it was either CTV, it was one of the big networks. And so they were showing the about Karla Homolka being released in the interview she gave. And she gave the interview, by the way, in French. So she definitely can speak fluent French. She gave the whole interview in French. The whole interview she gave was in French. So she's not one of those language people that just studied language and then can't speak the language. No, she can actually speak French. Like she gave a full interview in French. Karla Homolka gave a full interview in French, and you can find this interview yourself. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. I remember watching this years ago. I saw it, but I'm sure that you can find it as well. Hold on one sec. I'll be right back. I just gotta check something. I'll be right back, and I'll finish the story. So Karla Homolka, oh sorry, I'm right back. So Karla Homolka, she was saying, of course, that she wanted to go try the ice cap for the first time. She was saying she had plans to move to Quebec, thinking the French Canadians, the French community would welcome her for some reason, which is kind of sick. That she thinks this of the French community, and if why would the French Canadians welcome Karla Homolka, a convicted serial killer who murdered her own sister and preyed on other women as well? Other young girls, Karla Homolka and Paul Bernardo. If you're not familiar with the case, like it, it's really hard to sum it up, but basically they had murdered and preyed on young women, including Karla Homolka's own sister, which is really sick. So Karla Homolka actually, was found out after the fact, although sometimes people are not quite sure how that went down. It was almost as if the police, the Canadian police, went easier on Karla Homolka because she was a woman. But in reality, it was actually discovered really that she was the mastermind behind the murder. She put Paul Bernardo up to the murders, including murdering her own sister. But Karla Homolka tried to play the woman card and say she's innocent and she just, she was a victim of Paul Bernardo. That's what she tried to do because she's a lying sociopath, Karla Homolka. And a lot of women do that. A lot of women think, want to portray the image that women are innocent and women are wholesome. Of course, not all women are bad. There's many women that are innocent and wholesome, but, not all women are innocent. Not all women are innocent. And when a woman wants to play the woman card and be like, oh, she's an innocent woman and she does the fake crying and she's innocent, so in this case, Karla Homolka definitely was the mastermind. She was not innocent. And so this is extremely scary that Karla Homolka, a convicted serial killer who was the mastermind behind the murders, and put Paul Bernardo up to it, her husband, she's now getting out of prison after 12 years. She's saying she's going to move to Quebec, the French community, because she thinks they're going to welcome her for some reason after she learned French, as she has a whole French degree. She speaks fluent French. She's giving an interview in French to the media when she gets out of Canadian prison. This was about when she got out of prison about 15 years ago, approximately 15 years ago. So she's thinking she's going to move to the French community. She got a French degree, a French language degree in federal prison and Canadian prison. She speaks fluent French. Give an interview in French. She's full force going into the French community. She made up this whole claim that she was a victim in prison when actually all her fellow inmates were scared of her and they were especially nice to her. They even gave her cake, apparently a cake on her birthday. They made a birthday cake and while she was in prison. So the fellow inmates were especially nice to Karla Homolka because they were all scared of her and they really saw that she was a sociopath, psychopath. So actually, a lot of people believe that Karla Homolka should actually still be in prison, especially since she was the mastermind behind the Paul Bernardo Karla Homolka murders, where they murdered those young women and they preyed on young women. So Karla Homolka, she apparently also, now this came out, this was discovered later. This was in later news articles. Now, this is years later after she's already now been out in the community, and which very sick. Apparently, there was also a report. There was a report that Karla Homolka was volunteering at a school, a convicted, this is, you could search this. You could search Karla Homolka volunteering at school. News article. This is after she was released from Canadian prison. Like a convicted serial killer, mastermind. Now, years later, allegedly she was seen volunteering at a school. That is, wow. Like you can find these articles yourself too. But another thing that came out about Karla Homolka, and also, it could shed light onto why she learned French and why she was obsessed with the French language, why she was obsessed with French people, why she got a whole degree in French in prison, federal prison. Apparently, Karla Homolka had a fascination, obsession with Emmanuel Macron to the point where she was trying to write him letters and send him letters. She apparently was obsessed with him. Now, several inmates, former prisoners, who, because prisoners talk to each other, had posted this online, and this is over the course of 15 years. So sporadically, every so often, rumors and gossip would pop up online about Karla Homolka and what she was like in prison, what she was doing after prison. And several gossip and rumors were spread about her. And several former inmates who wanted to remain anonymous, but basically, like they were anonymous, obviously, when they posted, when they said that stuff online. Now, it's not even clear if they were the inmates themselves or if they were people that were, like, for example, friends and family of the inmates who then took that information and posted it. So the people who were online posting this information, this gossip and rumors, it's not even 100% sure if they themselves, like, because there's all of these gossip chat rooms, there's all of these online Reddit and there's Reddit and all of this stuff, all of this online world. So these people who had posted these rumors, it's not even 100% clear if they were the ex-con prisoners themselves, but maybe they were friends and family of prisoners. But anyways, long story short, they had posted one, and part of the rumors that they posted was that Karla Homolka, one of the reasons she learned French to the point where she speaks it fluently, she gave an interview in full French when she got out of prison, why she was obsessed with French people, why she was obsessed with the French language, even though she's not French herself. Why is she spent all that time in prison learning French, and then she became so fluent she could give a full interview to the French media when she got out of prison. Apparently, Karla Homolka had picked up an obsession about Emmanuel Macron, the French president. And obviously, Karla Homolka, no offense to French Canadian prime ministers, but women typically do not have obsessions with Justin Trudeau. He is not a man who a lot of Canadian women have obsessions with. They actually don't, they think he's creepy. And if you look at the way Justin Trudeau sits down, so what I'm saying is that Karla Homolka looked at Emmanuel Macron like a sex symbol. Like she found him hot, basically. And a lot of women over the years have found Emmanuel Macron to be, attractive. Now, I still think he's look kind of creepy too. But compared to Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, who is the creepiest of the creepy, in my opinion, like even Trump admitted it. They were making fun of the way he sits down. Did you see the way Justin Trudeau sits down? Like it's really creepy the way he sits. Anyways, so Justin Trudeau was not liked by Americans, not liked by many people, and especially not liked by Canadians. So I'm telling you that it's very possible that Karla Homolka didn't learn French because she had an obsession with Justin Trudeau or with Pierre Trudeau or with John Chrétien or with Stephen Harper. Okay. So this whole thing about her attraction, alleged attraction to Emmanuel Macron, and why she was obsessed with French culture and she wanted to learn French, and why she gave an interview in perfect French, and you could find the interview yourself if you just search Karla Homolka when she was released from prison, the interview she gave to the French media. Um, Now, Karla Homolka, obviously, I mean, if she really was super obsessed with Emmanuel Macron, the French president, I'm pretty sure since she's a convicted felon, Karla Homolka, she can't just pick up and go to France. So that's lucky for Emmanuel Macron that she can't just pick up and go, she can't go stalk him because she's not allowed to leave Canada, right? But the next best thing she did, or not next best thing, the next thing that she did that she thought she could do is just simply move to Quebec when she first got out of prison, thinking that the French community would accept her. Maybe she was even gonna remarry and find a French husband. Be kind of creepy if she specifically looked for one that looked like Emmanuel Macron. But like she was obsessed with French culture, French men, the French language. She spoke fluent French when she gave the interview when she got out of federal prison. And apparently, according to several people online, and these of course were rumors, but there might be some truth to these rumors now, especially because before finding out about this whole sick marriage that Emmanuel Macron allegedly has, according to Candace Owens is the one blowing the whistle on this. According to this whole alleged sick marriage that Bridget Macron has with Emmanuel Macron, when people heard that, oh, Karla Homolka had allegedly had an obsession with the French president, people really probably didn't think much of it. Like, a lot of women before this big scandal, finding out about him being groomed or whatever, a lot of women probably, were attracted to the French president. But now, especially, it's extremely weird. And like, what's the connection there? Because why would she? I mean, maybe it's more than just, oh, she looked at him in the newspaper or she saw his picture in a magazine. Maybe it's more than just that because, like, Karla Homolka actually thought that the French Canadians, Quebec, would welcome her and accept her, a convicted serial killer mastermind behind the Paul Bernardo Karla Homolka murders, where they murdered and preyed on young women. Why would Karla Homolka think that the French Canadians, Quebec, French people would accept her and welcome her into Quebec, and she would have this new fresh start, second chance in Quebec? It's very telling, especially now, all of these explosive things that are coming out, this new information that's coming out about France and the French president and the French president's wife. Like, there's sick stuff going on. And Karla Homolka was a woman, and along with Paul Bernardo, her husband, they preyed on young people. They preyed on young girls. And was she like, is this like one sociopath, psychopath, Karla Homolka, obsessed with another psychopath, sociopath? Like, why are people alleging that Karla Homolka was obsessed, like obsessed in love with the French president? Was this just simply like a celebrity kind of crush thing where, maybe she also liked, well, the, so that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't know for sure, but This is where this whole conspiracy theory hour comes in. Someone really should do a deep investigation into why Karla Homolka would think that the French community would accept her, love her, welcome her, why she would spend so much time learning the French language, do a whole degree in French, then when she gets out of prison, give a whole interview in French, then move to the French community. And there's even news articles that allege, and these news articles you could find, they were in the mainstream news. There's news articles that allege that Karla Homolka, after she was released from prison, was seen volunteering at schools. Wow, that is shocking. So, especially given what is now coming out with Bridget Macron and Emmanuel Macron, is there something more? What was she just was Karla Homolka merely just a woman who got an infatuation with the French president, or is there some other deeper connections between France, Karla Homolka, the French Canadians, and other serial killers, and other other groomers and other all this other gross stuff that's going on? So more investigating needs to be done. Like, definitely more investigation into this needs to be done. These French Canadian ties, these ties between France and French Canadians and Karla Homolka and all of this stuff. And Justin Trudeau, who, by the way, um, did we all forget that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, there was a huge conspiracy theory for many years. In fact, they literally showed pictures of Justin Trudeau, his face next to the Cuban president, Fidel Castro. This was a whole it went from actually conspiracy theory to full blown. They had pictures, and Justin Trudeau looks like Fidel Castro. What happened to all of that? Did people just forget all of that? Oh, Justin Trudeau resigns. The Prime Minister of Canada resigns. He's going to go, whatever, live on an island somewhere. And so everyone just suddenly forgot that he very well could be the son of Fidel Castro, the Cuban president. Did people all of a sudden just forget all of this? So much is coming out about French Canadian prime ministers, the French president, Karla Homolka, all of this stuff, French Canada. What's going on here? Like, so more investigation needs to be done. Candace Owens, can you reopen the investigation into the whole Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, could be very well be the son of Fidel Castro whole thing? Because it went from merely being a conspiracy theory to people actually full on taking the whole theory credible. Because, of course, when people say conspiracy theory, a lot of times people don't take conspiracy theories seriously. And I'm sure at first, when the whole theory was proposed that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was the son of Fidel Castro, the Cuban president, I'm sure a lot of people didn't take it seriously. But then, as more evidence came out, as they had pictures and they compared a photo of Justin Trudeau and his face next to Fidel Castro, suddenly people were like, wait a minute. There might be more to this conspiracy theory. And that's why they start to investigate more. And then the conspiracy theory, people actually really start believing it for real. So that's what happens when people suddenly start investigating. People need to do more thorough investigations. That's how you uncover the truth. So No, what I was saying, let me respond to this comment because, like I said, I am telling you what was said by other people, gossip and rumors said online after Karla Homolka was released from prison. Okay. The dates and times were not 100% verifiable because these people were online spreading. It could be true, it could be false. Rumors, by definition, are not true or false. Rumors and gossip, okay, which many times start off as conspiracy theories, could very well be true or be very well be false. So what I said was after Karla Homolka was released from prison, she went to the French community, she was immersed in the French community, she tried to find a French husband, etc. And then later on, while in the French community speaking French, then that's when people started to say that Karla Homolka went, whether it was in prison, whether it was out, when after she got out of prison, at some point, whether it was in prison, it couldn't have been in prison now, really, and that we're probably because it was before the French president was elected. Unless how somehow she knew him through politics. Maybe he was a senator or something. I don't know French politics. Maybe before French President Emmanuel Macron was president, maybe he was a senator or something. Anyways, but what I'm saying is, eventually, at some point, allegedly, she did have an obsession with him. So this probably now, according to the timeline, it probably makes more sense actually that she got the obsession with him when she was out of prison. But she definitely had an obsession with French people, and she definitely had an obsession with the French language, to the point where she got a whole degree in French literature and French. And actually, when she got out of prison, and this is an interview which you can search. This was the interview she gave when she came out of prison. Did she give an interview in English? No, she gave a full interview in French after she got a degree in French while she was in prison. And let me remind you, she's not French. So she had it in her mind that the French community would accept her and welcome her, a convicted serial killer. Why would Karla Homolka think, oh, she's a convicted serial killer in Canadian prison, and if she just learns French and gets a degree in French and moves to Quebec and finds a French husband, like that, like she's like the French people will accept her. Why would she think that of the French people? Is there something more to the French Canadians that we don't know? Are like French Canadians, are they like sick people that like accept serial killers, that are fascinated with serial killers? Like what's going on there? So now actually no, it makes more sense that Karla Homolka, and now this actually makes sense because those people who had said that she was fascinated, suddenly obsessed, suddenly had an infatuation with Emmanuel Macron, those people had said this after she was out of prison. So this could probably started, actually, it makes more sense, the timeline. This started when he was elected, and she had already been out of prison, already been speaking French for years, already been in the French community for years. So suddenly, when the French president is about to be elected, and I'm sure there were probably a lot of French women that voted for him because they were attracted to him as well. I mean, a lot of times in politics, the presidents, they get elected. Obama got elected through his charm, through his sex appeal, through women. So there are probably a lot of women obsessed with French President Emmanuel Macron. But apparently, because, people have been watching Karla Homolka for years, especially when they found that article, or no, not when they found it, especially if you read the news article that says, it's a news article, you can search it, it's on the Canadian news, on Google search, you can search it, that alleges that Karla Homolka, after she was released from prison, was seen volunteering at a school. Karla Homolka, a woman who was convicted of murdering her own sister and preying on young women and murdering other women with Paul Bernardo, after she was released from prison, Canadian prison, was seen volunteering at a school. which is, oh my God, if that, like, if she really was volunteering at a school, and that's what the news article says. Allegedly, she was seen volunteering at a school. This is a Canadian news article. You could search this. So Karla Homolka also allegedly was, I guess this is around the time when French President Emmanuel Macron was being elected to be the new French president. She developed an infatuation with him. Like, is this one so like does Karla Homolka like why what's her taste in men? What is Karla Homolka's taste in men? She picks Paul Bernardo. Maybe it's because she thought Paul Bernardo, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Paul Bernardo is sick, just as sick as Karla Homolka, although a lot of people say Karla Homolka is even worse than Paul Bernardo. Karla Homolka then suddenly has an infatuation with the French president. And, a lot of people probably had infatuations with the French president. But now it's like, does Karla Homolka have some sort of sick radar? Does she have some sort of psychopath, sociopath radar? And now that now these whole bombshell allegations about a French president, Emmanuel Macron, and his wife are coming out, is there something more to this? Does Karla Homolka have like a sick radar? A sick radar, psychopath radar, sociopath radar? She's one sociopath, one psychopath who has a radar for others? Is that what this is the whole thing about? And why does she like was obsessed with the French language for years? She learned French. She got a degree in French while she was in Canadian prison. She thought that the French community was going to welcome her. And then around the time when French President Emmanuel Macron was getting elected, apparently, allegedly, she had an infatuation with him. The French president, obsessed with him. I mean, she's not supposed to have left Canada, so I don't know if she left Canada. She's not supposed to have, because I'm pretty sure ex-cons are not allowed to leave the country. Although, when you kind of think about it, let's have a real discussion here for a sec. Why would Canada want to keep ex-cons from leaving? Like, you know, I'm sure there's probably some smart countries like India and China and these other countries that say, hey, whenever they have a convicted murderer in their country, they say leave. Like, what, there wasn't that used to be a punishment in like ancient times, exile, when someone was exiled from the country? Like, why would Canada, why, especially French Canada, why would Canada want to tell Karla Homolka, you can't leave Canada? If the psychopath sociopath who murdered her own sister, the psychopath sociopath liar, sociopath murderer Karla Homolka wants to leave Canada, why would Canada want to keep her? Like, why would Canada want to keep her in the country? Like, that's scary. Like, if she leaves, then she becomes another country's problem. Like, I don't understand that whole rule there. I don't understand what that's about. So if someone knows the law, well, explain that one to me. Why does Canada want to keep their serial killers within Canada? Like, they don't want these convicted people to leave Canada. I would figure that, and probably other countries do this. Probably other countries have common sense. They say, yeah, let these people leave. Like, these people are psychopaths. These people are sociopaths. Bye-bye. They want to leave Canada. Let them go. Like, especially with Donald Trump, and he's saying to all of these celebrities, these American celebrities that are threatening to leave America if Trump gets elected. Trump's like, okay, bye-bye. Like, you don't have to stay. Go away. Like, you can get on the plane and leave. You're rich enough. You rich American celebrities, you're rich enough. You can just get out. Vamos. Adios. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Just go. So, au revoir. So that's another thing that. So anyways, yeah. So Karla Homolka, this needs to be investigated more. Especially, and you can find this news article yourself. The news article, the Canadian news article, and you could just Google Karla Homolka after getting out of release from prison, seen volunteering at school, or if you just Google search Karla Homolka seen volunteering at school, it should come up if you search it on Google. Especially that needs to be investigated. Why is Karla Homolka, a convicted serial killer, volunteering at schools? If that's true, this is what the news article alleged. The news article alleged that Karla Homolka was seen volunteering at a school, a convicted serial killer. Like, that's sick. So this whole thing needs to be investigated more. And I really hope Candace Owens, thank you, by the way, Candace Owens, for opening up the world's eyes about all of this stuff that's going on, this creepy stuff, because, Candace Owens, it's not easy for Canadians to talk about this. Canada doesn't have as liberal free speech as Americans do. Canada, I'm not going to say Canada has no free speech. Obviously, Canada has a degree of freedom of speech, but nowhere near comparison to the United States' freedom of speech. So, Candace Owens, thank you for talking about this kind of stuff. Candace Owens, please, like, especially do more investigative news articles about these kind of topics. So, and Bridget Macron and Emmanuel Macron trying to silence people. And Candace Owens brought up a good point. Candace Owens brought up a really good point. She's like, you know, they're expecting Candace Owens to make mistakes because when Candace Owens is doing her investigation, obviously no one just tells the truth. So, of course, Candace Owens is bound to make a mistake when she's desperately trying to find the truth and people are, as they say in a figurative speech, closing the door on her, slamming the door on her face. So it's hard for investigative journalists. It's hard for investigative journalists to to find the truth. And people expect investigative journalists to be 100% perfect when these people are like, it's like people are constantly slamming the door in their faces. It's not like Candace Owens can just ask any question she wants and then get a truthful answer. So Candace Owens probably gets lots of false information, good information, bad information. People tell her the truth. People don't even talk to her at all. Candace Owens, as an investigative journalist, she has to go through this big hurdle to find the truth. And then, Bridget Macron and Emmanuel Macron, they're just waiting for her to mess up and to get one detail wrong. Well, what do you expect, Candace Owens, when she has to go through, it's like a big hurdle. It's like pulling teeth to try, an expression, pulling teeth. It's like pulling teeth trying to get the truth from people. So, okay, so welcome, Brogan. Brogan came in to the chat and he said, he gave some information. I'm going to pin your comment and thank you for that information. We're all trying to just discover the truth. We're all trying to investigate the truth. And it's so hard to find the real truth when there's so many liars out there. So many people, well, obviously these psychopaths, these sociopaths, obviously Bridget Macron and Emmanuel Macron, the French president and his wife, clearly they've been trying to hide the truth for a long time. So it's been so hard for all these investigative journalists, people to find what the truth is when they've always been telling all these lies, covering things up, spreading misinformation, spreading lies, fake stories, fake stories. So of course people are all latching onto the fake stories because that's what the media, the mainstream media has been pushing because French Prime Minister Well, French Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau also pushes propaganda, Canadian propaganda. But I was going to say French President Emmanuel Macron and French President his wife. They apparently, according to Candace the French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife have been doing fake stories, trying to make a fake backstory. They even said that the French president's wife was considered a supermodel. Like she looked like a supermodel like 20 years ago. They showed pictures of her 20 years ago. She did not look like a supermodel 20 years ago. In fact, she even still looked like a man 20 years ago. So they made a whole fake backstory that apparently 20 years ago or whatever, approximately 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that the French president's wife was really hot, like a French supermodel. No, they showed pictures of her 30 years ago. She definitely did not look like a French supermodel. In fact, she even looked like a man 20, 30 years ago. So it's so hard for people to find the real truth when there's all of these liars out there. And the media doesn't help the situation when they're constantly pushing fake stories because the presidents around the world are pushing fake stories, fake narratives. Now, even Obama, apparently, there's something about apparently, allegedly, Trump and Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, are alleging something. And Obama is involved with some sort of fake news scandal, something conspiracy with Russia Gate or something. So, like, it's so hard for people to find the truth these days when there's all of these liars, the media, and even Trump says fake news, fake news. Trump was famous for saying fake news, because the media does tell lots of lies. The media tells lots of lies. So, of course, people are going to get confused when the media tells so many lies and tells all these fake stories and fake narratives to throw people off of the real story. Okay, what's this? Okay, hello, William. Okay, welcome, William, to the live chat. So, I thank you for your opinion. And you're saying, so what you said, I'm going to read your comment. Okay. Thank you for your comment. And you're welcome to give your opinion. Of course, everyone's welcome to give their opinion. So your comment says, this is by William. Prison and the programs are to make a person better in life. Then it says we all make mistakes. Okay, but can I just politely counter that? And can I politely say that we're not talking about someone who, defrauded the IRS or someone who didn't pay her taxes or someone who even, well, we're not talking about someone who committed insider trading or something. We're talking about a woman, Karla Homolka, who murdered her own sister and preyed on young women and was the mastermind allegedly because a lot of people believe she was the mastermind and put Paul Bernardo up to it. Uh, maybe not everyone deserves a second chance. I mean, in the sense that obviously she has a second chance in the sense that she has been released from prison. But I definitely don't think that no one should be opening the red carpet for her. And of course, you're not saying that. You're not saying that people should open the red carpet for her. But I definitely don't think she should be volunteering at a school. And I definitely don't think that, people should be so quick to let their guard down around her and say, oh, that she's rehabilitated. I personally, and then, everyone has the right to judge accordingly how they feel, but I personally wouldn't let my guard down around that. So thank you for your comment. Thank you for your opinion. I appreciate you leaving your opinion. I slightly disagree. I do believe, obviously, that, people in some cases, in many cases, deserve second chances. But I mean, in this case with Karla Homolka, I mean, she served her time, but I wouldn't advise people to let their guard down. Of course, you didn't say people should let their guard down, but when people say the word of the verbiage of second chances, it kind of makes people a little bit let their guard down. It kind of be like, oh, giving that person a second chance kind of makes people let their guard down. Obviously, it's not. That's not what you said verbatim. you didn't insinuate that people should let their guard down. But what I'm saying is when someone says, "Oh, about giving someone a second chance," people do kind of tend to let their guard down, don't they? And I don't think in this case with Karla Homolka that no one should let their guard down around her, not whatsoever. Martha Stewart, on the other hand, who was convicted of insider trading, like Martha Stewart's not a murderer. Martha Stewart, like, I will have no problem letting my guard down around Martha Stewart, especially Martha Stewart, who cooks all those beautiful meals and you made America fresh again and made America beautiful again. Martha Stewart, wonderful woman. I mean, yeah, of course, she definitely made a mistake, Martha Stewart, when she did insider trading, but like she's not a murderer like Karla Homolka is. So that's what my point is there. There's no wild things that's being created, Brogan. I am telling you what I remember hearing, seeing throughout the whole Karla Homolka legacy. I told you that there was an interview, you can look this up. When she got out of prison, she gave a full interview in French. She had apparently learned French, got a French degree. In prison, she had this idea in her mind that the French community would welcome her and accept her, a convicted serial killer, convicted of murdering her own sister and preying on young women and murdering other women with Paul Bernardo. She got a whole degree in French. She speaks fluent French. She comes out of prison. She gives a whole interview in French. Then, at some point, after she had been released from prison, at some point there's a news article alleging she was seen volunteering at a school. And then I told you at some point as well, I do remember there were people online circulating rumors and gossip that allegedly, and I guess this was around the time when Emmanuel Macron was running for president of France. Apparently, she also, along with her French obsession, she generally had an obsession with the French culture. And generally speaking, of course, one can say that Karla Homolka was obsessed with the French language. She got a whole degree in French literature in prison, in federal prison. She was obsessed with the French language. She got a degree in French. She gave an interview in French when she got out of prison. She had this idea in her mind that the French community would accept her, welcome her. After she got out of prison, she moved to Quebec. She was probably going to find a French husband. And then at one point, allegedly, they saw her volunteering at a school. And also, at some point, there were people online circulating rumors and gossip allegedly. And, like I said, rumors can be either true or false. Rumors are not necessarily true or false. That's what makes them a rumor and gossip. They could be true, they could be false, we don't know for sure. But of course, everyone's investigating, trying to find the truth. Everyone is investigating, trying to find the truth. So, anyways, there's people online at some point who said that, and of course, this must be around the time when Emmanuel Macron was running for president. Now this makes sense, right? Keep in mind, we're talking about like a legacy of 20 years, Karl Hemok, like more than 20 years. So, it's hard to remember everything, every little thing, every single more. I'm giving you rough estimates here. So don't come at me and say, oh, it was exactly 7 years. When I say, oh, it was about 5 years ago, I say, no, no, it was 7 years ago. I am not like an expert on Karla Homolka. I am just a person like all of us. We're trying to find the truth, the truth to all of this whole. I didn't even know about Bridget Macron's. I didn't even know about thingy. I didn't even know about Emmanuel Macron's wife being I didn't even know that until recently. So we're all just trying to find the truth. So don't come at me and say, oh, like Karla Homolka technically was only in Quebec for a few years or something. I don't know exactly everywhere she's been, but I'm saying there was an interview. She did give a full interview in French. She was obsessed with the French language. She did a degree in French. This was on the in the news article the television. This was on television. This was the interview that she gave in French on, it was either CTV News, CBC News, one of the Canadian news channels. So this was definitely for sure. And I did say that allegedly there was a news article which alleged Canadian news article which alleged that Karla Homolka was seen volunteering at a school after she had been released from prison. And then, like I said, there were people online who were spreading these rumors, gossip, which could very well be true or false. We don't know for sure. alleging that I guess this was around the time that Emmanuel Macron, French president, was running for president of France to be elected as president of France. Allegedly, Karla Homolka, after she had hold this whole other French obsession with the French language, with the French people, with Quebec, with speaking French, she also apparently, within her whole French obsession, developed an infatuation with the French president who was running for president of France, Emmanuel Macron, allegedly. So, like I said, I am just telling you what was heard, okay? And how, like, why, like, it is a good, valid question. Why did Karla Homolka, a convicted serial killer mastermind behind the murders of preying on young people, just like this whole case with Bridget Macron, Emmanuel Macron, they are saying that, that Bridget Macron preyed on a young, right? So it's the whole preying on young people thing. Candace Owens accusing everyone, all these people of being pedophiles, this whole pedophile network. Why would Karla Homolka, another woman who preyed on young people, another who murdered young people, and especially what they did to her own sister, what Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka, what Karla Homolka did to her own sister with her husband Paul Bernardo, like, sick. This is all gross. And Candace Owens, by far, Candace Owens is the best investigative reporter in terms of, okay, she is the best. She might not be the best because there's probably gonna be people come and say, oh no, this person's the best. Candace Owens is very good. Candace Owens is a very good investigative reporter. So Candace Owens, please do more investigation into this. Especially, why would Karla Homolka, a convicted serial killer, of especially of the heinous crimes that she preyed on young people, she murdered young people, including her own sister. Why would Karla Homolka get this whole French obsession, speak French, learn French, give an interview in French, move to Quebec, think that the French community, French people, French Canadians would accept a serial killer who preyed on young girls, who murdered young girls with her sicko husband? Why would Karla Homolka think that the French Canadians, the French people, would accept her? Why? Isn't that kind of weird? Like, do French Canadians, do French people, do they accept serial killers and welcome serial killers? Is that, I'm just asking a question here. This is a valid question. So more investigation needs to be done. I'm asking, please, that investigators, I'm asking that investigators please do more investigation into this, especially now that all of these allegations, all of these things are coming out about the French president's wife and the French president, and about pedophiles around the world and this network of pedophiles. And now there's even something coming out apparently with Obama and Russiagate or something that's very new. I just saw it today. Something about Obama. They might actually bring charges against Obama. So more investigation needs to be done. Okay. So people, please stop trying to discourage investigators. Stop trying to discourage investigators from seeking and finding the truth. It's hard enough as it is for investigators to find the real truth when all these people are lying, when the media is lying, and Trump's constantly saying fake news, fake news, fake news. It's hard enough as it is for investigators to find the truth, whether the media lying and all these people lying constantly, these sociopaths, psychopaths lying. It's hard enough to find the truth as it is. So please do not discourage investigators from finding and discovering the real truth. Please. Please do not discourage investigators from finding the truth. You just said what media is lying. Trump has been saying for years that the media has been lying. One of his famous catchphrases, aside from "you're fired," one of Trump's famous catchphrases, aside from "you're fired," is fake news, fake news, fake news. You know how many times Trump said fake news? Trump has extremely accused the media of being liars. So now you're saying what media is lying? Listen, Brogan, I appreciate your comments. Thank you. I appreciate your opinion. I I am just telling you what I have heard, what my like this is it literally says conspiracy theory power hour. These are theories. These are theories, speculations. I have not stated that these are facts. I have stated that these are, well, no, a lot of what I stated was facts. Karla Homolka did get a degree in the French language. Karla Homolka does speak fluent French. She did think that the French community would welcome her. So there were a lot of facts, but also there are conspiracy theories as well, speculations, and just like I'm sure a lot of people started off by speculating that maybe Bridget McQuan was a man, and then eventually, so everything, a lot of stuff that actually is true starts off as speculation. A lot of things that eventually are found out to be true start off as a conspiracy theory. Not everything that's a conspiracy theory is true, but that's why we need investigators. That's why we need people willing to put their theories on the table and actually investigate. Because that's the whole purpose of the conspiracy theory power hour, is to discover and find the truth. Not every conspiracy theory will be correct, but that's why it's called a theory. That's why it's called a theory. It's people trying to find the truth, whatever the truth is. So, there are facts mixed also with theories, conspiracy theories, and this is a no judgment zone. Other than obviously, no, we do judge obviously serial killers. We judge Karla Homolka, but what I'm saying is, this is a no judgment zone in terms of people's theories. Anyone is welcome to come in during the conspiracy theory hour and give whatever they believe, whatever their real conspiracy theory is. Everyone is welcome. There's no judgment. Anyone can come in and say whatever their real opinion is, whatever they believe, whatever their theories are. There's no judgment. So everyone, this is a safe zone for everyone to talk about their real opinions and their real theories. Well, Brogan, so again, thank you for your comment. There are a lot I can, okay. Um, I'm sure it's searchable on Google News, on Canadian news. There are news articles that say that Canada and France are allies, major allies. Um, Apparently, even there is a whole party in Canada that represents French interests. I do remember seeing a news article a news video on this that alleged that not only are Canada and France allies, but that allegedly there is a whole political party in Canada that represents the interests of France. So to say that there is a connection, I'm not. Okay, let me read verbatim what you said because I'm not going to put words in your mouth. I'm going to read verbatim what you said and let's see if I understand exactly what you said because maybe I just misunderstood what you said. So let me read again what you said. So you said French Canada has no. Hold on, let me scroll up. You said French Canada has no ties to France. When you say French Canada has no ties to France, well, I would consider many ties because I think, in my opinion, so what you think would be ties and what no ties would mean, I have a different perception of what ties are. So, in my opinion, when two countries speak the same language, that's a tie. When French Canadians have a very distinct culture that resembles France, like they do have croissants in Quebec. They do a lot of French things in Quebec. Okay, they do like to drink champagne, French champagne in Quebec. And so, in your opinion, that might be a weak tie, but in my opinion, that's a strong tie. I think that French Canadians speaking the same language as France, drinking French champagne, doing certain customs and cultures, visiting France, having a whole political party apparently that represents the French interests. I mean, I think that those are ties. So in my opinion, those are ties. Speaking the same language, they both speak French. They both drink French champagne. They go to they have French customs. They visit France. French Canadians visit France, and there are news articles and there are videos that say that Canada and France are like number one allies. Apparently, Canada is a stronger ally of France than Canada is to the United States. Apparently, France and Canada are like tight number one allies. Apparently. even more so than Canada and the United States. So I have given, I think I've given pretty good reason. But if you want to know something, you want to know the truth, I am an expert on Russia. I speak fluent Russian. I studied the Russian language for years. I speak fluent Russian, and but I do have a bit of expertise. I'm not going to call myself an expert, but growing up in Canada, we have to take French for many years. We study French. We have to take French in school for many years. I studied the French language. I've met French Canadians. I've worked with French Canadians. I do, coming from Canada, do have a lot of knowledge on this. Would I say I'm an expert? No. But like I said, these are theories. These are like, even scientists, you can't blame scientists when not all the theories pan out. That's why it's called a theory. That's why you need proper investigation. Are we going to discourage scientists and mathematicians from having theories? No. Okay, we should never discourage someone from having theories, giving their opinions, saying what they believe. We should never discourage people from saying their real, honest opinions. And we should never label people and say, oh, crazy conspiracy theorists. They always do that. That's how they try to cover up the truth, by calling everyone a crazy conspiracy theorist. And the whole purpose of the Conspiracy Theory Power Hour is to make people feel comfortable having a real discussion, giving their real opinions, okay? Whatever those opinions may be. No judgment on those people's opinions. No judgment on free speech. No judgment on people's real theories, real opinions. So, French culture is a tie, for sure. It's about French culture. That's a tie. I would also say that the United States has ties to Canada, because not only do many Canadians cross the border constantly, because we're connected, but also we speak both English, the same language, and also because American culture has a big influence on Canadians. Canadians, we don't have many, now we do, but like 20, 30 years ago, most of our television programming in Canada was American. We watched Judge Judy, we watched The Simpsons, we watched Saturday Night Live. These are all American TV shows that we watched in Canada. So I would consider cultural ties to be a very big influence in tie. Like, in Canada, we were constantly talking about Hillary Clinton and the whole scandal with Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton in Canada. So yeah, I think cultural ties and commonality do are considered ties, in my opinion. I don't want to discourage people from giving their real opinions. I'm not saying that my conspiracy theory is they're like conspiracy theories are not by definition true or false. They are by definition theories, which doesn't mean that they are true or false. And I have not said that any of my conspiracy theories are necessarily true or false. They could be true. I am actually have been asking this whole time, please, for people to do more investigation into everything that's going on. More investigation needs to be done. That is the purpose of the Conspiracy Theory Power Hour. The main purpose is to encourage people to please have real, honest discussions, give their real, honest opinions, not be afraid to give their real opinions, real theories, and to encourage people to investigate and find and discover the real truth, because we need to know the truth, because the news, the fake media, the fake news that Donald Trump has been pointing out for a while now, calling fake news, fake news, fake news. The fake news has been deceiving the people for too long, and we need to discover and find the truth, whatever the truth is. So if anyone comes in and gives the real, like if anyone comes in and wants to give a correction, because like I said, it's conspiracy theories. They're not by definition true or false. I'm not claiming that these conspiracy theories are true. Conspiracy theories by definition are not true or false. I'm trying to find the truth just like everyone else. We're all trying to find the truth. So I encourage everyone to come into the Conspiracy Theory Hour, give their real opinions, whatever they are, and have a real discussion. and we can finally find the truth, whatever the truth is. And I welcome and I thank everyone for their participation. This is a no judgment zone when it comes to theories. This is a no judgment zone when it comes to opinions, people's opinions. Everyone is welcome to give their real opinions, whatever they are. No judgment on people's real opinions.